What if 24 missiles launched at a carrier weren't a death sentence? In this fictional minute-by-minute drill, we stress test the Navy's playbook. Stay with me as we answer the questions you're already asking. How soon does SPY-1 see them? Who shoots first, destroyers or the carrier? And how do SM-6s reach out while ESSMs and CIWS guard the last mile? We'll anchor every step in documented layered defense doctrine and compare it to the 2024 regional intercepts, so you leave knowing what might hold and where the margins get razor thin. 12 seconds after the first radar return, the battle plan is already shifting. Who fires first when 24 inbound tracks light up the scope? The opening minute starts ugly. A carrier strike group threads the Strait of Hormuz at transit speed, electronic emissions not fully silent but controlled. 2 Aegis destroyers run SPY-1 radars hot, spaced as pickets off the bow and quarter. An E-2D orbits at altitude with its radar sweeping past the headlands. The waterway squeezes everything. Shallow bays, rocky promontories, and shipping lanes stacked with tankers and tugs. Reaction time compresses because the horizon is close and the clutter is thick. Ops calls for readiness across the formation. Flight ops continue on the carrier to keep air cover rolling, but the deck crew shifts to a high-tempo cycle calibrated to minutes, not hours. False echoes blend with the first real returns. In literal water, sea clutter splashes the scope with energy, while low flyers skim under the radar line until they pop up on a glide. Decoy drones ride the same altitudes as the inbound threats. Merchant AIS beacons fill the tactical display, but not every contact carries one, and a fishing skiff can mask a hostile track for long seconds. The team must sort seekers from shadows. Identification squads prune the picture by speed gate, altitude bands, and persistence. Anything accelerating inbound gets escalated. Anything orbiting or meandering gets parked as neutral until proven otherwise. Now the machines help. SPY-1 feeds track files into cooperative engagement capability, the data net that stitches every sensor into one picture. The E-2D hands over long-range cues. F-35C fighters off the carrier add passive and radar hits from different angles, bending the geometry and sharpening where the threats truly are. Other escorts contribute surface and air search data. Within tens of seconds, the network collapses duplicates, promotes firm tracks, and generates fire control quality on the fastest clusters. A single shared firing solution means no 2 ships waste shots on the same missile unless doctrine calls for it. Doctrine starts with priorities. Velocity, altitude, and heading rule the queue. The fastest nose-on threats at medium altitude get first looks because they cover miles quickly and can dive hard. The outer air battle belongs to the picket destroyers. They hold the long-range keys and fire first, while the carrier conserves magazines and keeps ESSM, CIWS, and deck-mounted systems in reserve. The kill chain runs like an air traffic system that swats flies instead of guiding jets. Detect, track, decide, engage, then verify. Pre-assignments inside the Mk-41 VLS matter here. Cells are already loaded for ripple launches, so a saturation raid meets a timed wall, not single shots. This is where the missile mix earns its place. SM-6 carries dual-mode guidance with an active radar seeker and networked queuing, so it can chase high divers coming down steep and sea skimmers hiding low. It reaches out with over-the-horizon targeting pulled from the E-2D and fighters. SM-2 remains in the playbook for follow-ons and mid-layer work, but the first punch leans on SM-6 because it can hold a lock in tough geometry and in a jamming haze. Countdown hits. VLS hatches slam open. Each picket throws 2 ripples of 4. 8 canisters burn and loft, arcing into bright points aimed at the densest clusters. The carrier keeps turning into the wind, launches a combat air patrol to clean up leakers, and guards magazine depth for what comes next. By minute 3, the first intercept window opens. Those 8 SM-6s reach their marks and split the raid roughly in half before it crosses the 100-mile ring. Tracks drop. gaps appear in the formation. The outer layer holds for the moment, but the survivors flatten and scatter, dropping altitude and sliding behind tankers and coastline, pushing the fight inward where the margins shrink fast. What happens when half the missiles survive the first intercept and start masking behind tankers and coastline? Does the shield bend or break? The raid reshapes itself fast. Survivors split into two profiles: a tight string of low-altitude sea skimmers riding the wave tops, and a handful of high divers stepping down from the edge of the radar horizon. Mid-layer shooters pick up the handoff. SM-2s and fresh SM-6s get queued for shots in the 30 to 70 nautical mile band, while escorts spin up ESSM cells, quad-packed magazines that trade depth for speed. Firing solutions roll across the net. One destroyer takes the north sector, the other the south, while a cruiser nearest the carrier holds a reserve salvo to smother any cluster that slips the timing. Now the environment bites back. The littorals cut reaction time. Terrain and ship hulls create radar shadows. The horizon clips low flyers until they crest a swell. Electromagnetic noise rises as adversary jammers pulse, dragging tracks off center and forcing the system to validate every update. Decoys shed from inbound missiles mimic Doppler and altitude signatures. Blue Force commanders tighten fire control rules to avoid fratricide with merchant ships passing through the same lanes. Every shot must clear the sky and the surface picture, because a kill that risks collateral is not a legal shot. Doctrine keeps the cadence. Shoot, look, shoot. Staggered timing by seconds, not minutes. SM 2-block IIIC pairs with SM6 for follow-on prosecution. The first wave aims center mass on the leakers. The second wave rides the updated tracks from fresh sensor data, trimming missed distance without wasting inventory. Guidance handovers stay short. If a track fades under masking, the second shooter waits out the update cycle rather than throwing steel blind. Commanders watch missile counts on a shared board, protecting magazine health for any second raid. Inside that ring, escorts build a moving bubble with ESSM Block 2. The active radar seeker makes a difference when guidance links get saturated. Each ship can launch and then let the missile hunt in terminal, locking onto a threat even if the data link stutters under jamming. Overlapping sectors cover the gaps between hulls. A fast patrol boat no longer hides a low flyer from the formation because the seeker looks down and out on its own near the endgame. The carrier stays in the center of this lattice, with the goal to keep every inbound outside the last-ditch weapons. Real-world coordination informs the play. In October 2024, US and partnerships fired a dozen interceptors at Iranian missiles bound for Israel. The Pentagon reported roughly 200 ballistic missiles launched from Iranian territory. The numbers were large, the response was quick, and the purpose was clear: multi-layer defense across a region under pressure. That event reinforced the need for rapid queuing, disciplined doctrine, and shared fire control. The same ingredients this scenario leans on when timelines shrink. Countermeasures now crowd the water and air. Chaff blooms to clutter hostile seekers. Nulka decoys launch and hover, presenting a bright, tempting target that pulls radar-guided missiles off the formation line. Soft kill suites jam and spoof, trying to shear guidance loops before metal meets metal. CIWS and CRAM stay cold until geometry leaves no other choice. They exist for the last 5 miles and the last seconds, not as an option while longer-range shots still have a chance.